Hello, everyone, and yet again, welcome to another UBZoomy, I believe the 41st, I think. And we've got a really interesting guest tonight, a gentleman by the name of Benjamin Zephaniah, born and bred in Birmingham, as I understand it, and a man of many talents. So we've got an interesting session, we've got some music to play, we've got loads of discussion around poetry, around politics, and all things Birmingham.
He's a Villa fan, don't forget.
And he's a Villa fan.
Shit on the Villa.
Don't hate.
I'm not saying.
And we've got a reasonable complement of people. Robin's not the invisible man. I think he's gone to make himself a drink. We've got Earl. How you doing, Earl?
Yeah, man. Cool.
Nice. What are you drinking?
Rocker, the usual. Campo Viejo. You know.
Nice.
Light your glass, Earl.
Yeah, innit? It's like a cocktail glass.
It's pretty hot. Do you stick
All
your finger?
all my wine glasses are plastic because I keep on breaking them.
Do you stick your finger out when you drink from that one?
No, not really.
We know why you keep breaking them, because you fall asleep with the glass in your hand. We've seen you do that 1,000 times on the road.
All right. Don't glass me up.
So why you got no glasses?
So, good evening, Benjamin. And I wondered if you might be able to give yourself an introduction, because you're a man of many talents and you've been around for a long time, and I'd probably do you a disservice if I tried it.
It's a smooth talk. Okay, I'm a poet, musician, novelist, curator. I've curated museum exhibitions, political, social commentator, I guess. Editor. I've edited a few books. Acting, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think stuff. I'm a creative being. Like if somebody sees me in the street or whatever, and they say, "What do you do?" I usually say, "Do you want to know what I'm doing now?" And that's the easiest thing. So now, right now I'm acting basically.
Is it a secret, or is it something you can share?
No. We've started doing Peaky Blinders, so I'm in a hotel in Manchester. I'm just about to.
Oh, amazing!
Well, they've done a few days already.
I think everybody knows about your part in Peaky Blinders, don't they?
Jeremiah.
Everybody knows about it.
I think so.
No,
it's a big program, innit? Big program, Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I mean, but what's happened a couple of times recently is somebody's told somebody that I'm in Peaky Blinders, and they go, "God, you're in Peaky Blinders." And I go, "Yeah." They go, "Which part do you play?" And I go, "How many black rastas are in Peaky Blinders?"
I ain't Tommy Shelby.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
No, I mean, I can understand. I mean, my part is only cameo, so I'm the only kind of. I just said I was an actor, but I don't really consider myself an actor. I remember once in the 80s, I did an audition for a part, and I went into the room, and there were all these actors in there, and actors who you guys would know from the 80s, because obviously there's only a few black actors then with dreadlocks. And I went in and I got the part. But when I was in the dressing room, when I was in the waiting room, all these actors were talking about how little they act and they really need work and whatever. And when I got the part, I felt really bad. And I came home, I called my agent and I said, "Look, I don't want it." And she said, "Why? You're crazy." And I said, "It's a big part." I said, "No." I said, "I'm earning money from all the other things I do. And actors, people think acting is a really glamorous work job, right? But 90% of actors are unemployed 90% of the time, right?
Yeah.
We only see the glamorous bit, right? We don't see this bit where they're all unemployed, looking for a job, going for auditions." So I said, all these guys have trained for their work, they've trained to do acting and they're waiting for jobs. They only get a couple of jobs a year. And I've got other things to do. And so I had this principle that if anybody wants me for acting, I don't do auditions. You must know that you want me. And usually I'll ask them, why me? Why not somebody else who's trained for the job. Unfortunately, with Peaky Blinders, when Stephen was writing it, he said he knew that he wanted me for the part. He knew straight away, because I was based on a real character. And
is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. The character I'm based on was back in the day when Britain was fighting all these wars. Well, no, let's be fair. First World War, right? And they used to have these battalions, and when they had African and Caribbean fighters, they would always have a Caribbean regiment or West Indian regiment or African regiment. And for some reason, this one Jamaican guy fought with this battalion from Birmingham.
Okay.
And he went back to Jamaica, and he missed his buddy so much when he went back to Jamaica that he came back to Birmingham and kind of ended up kind of wandering the streets of Small Heath, slightly off his head with a Bible under his hand, preaching, you know, fire and damnation to fornicators and stuff like that. But he was kind of a spy for the Peaky Blinders as well. And that's absolutely true. His name was, they used to call him Jimmy Jesus. And on the first day of filming of Peaky Blinders and the first series, for some reason, there was a legal problem and we couldn't use the term Jimmy Jesus. I don't know if it has something to do with his family or something like that, but there was a panic. We've got to think of a name. So me and Killian were going, what a name. I think it was Killian that went Jeremiah. I went, yeah, Jeremiah sounds good, right? And we just went for it. So if you ever come across any of the early scripts of Peaky Blinders, you'll see that they don't call me Jeremiah, they call me Jimmy Jesus.
It's just how Jimmy's got it copyrighted, you see. That's why nobody else can use it.
Yeah, small leaf. Give me some small leaf, same as me.
We're small heathens. Yeah, we were born in Marston Green Maternity Hospital.
Oh, so was I.
Oh, yeah, really? Well, I wanted to know where you came, where you grew up in Birmingham.
Well, no, I grew up in. I actually grew up in Aston. When I was born, my family were living in Aston.
So there had to be a reason he was a Villa fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, man, let the man speak.
There were more important things than football. No, they're not. Sorry. When I was born, my family were living in Aston. In fact, if in the house that we lived in for the first few years of my life, if you walked down to the bottom of the garden and climbed over the fence, we ended up in Ozzy Osbourne's garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can remember his family really well. They were slightly wild, and we were into ska and stuff like that, and he was into kind of motorbikes, and there was like motorbike parts everywhere and stuff like that. Anyway, but my mum worked at Marston Green Hospital.
Oh, right, okay.
And so she organised it for me to be born there, because that was seen as quite posh that day.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? It's all about what Chelmsford Wood, isn't it? It's quite a way from Small Leaf and Aston as it goes, yeah.
So on your passport, you have Coles Hill, yeah?
No, Marston Green. Yeah,
You have Marston Green on it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Coles Hill like the borough or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got Coles Hill on my passport.
Yeah, it is actually in that.
I understand though, Benjamin, it could very nearly have been Sheffield on your passport.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Because when my mum came from Jamaica, she first went to Sheffield. She always wanted to work as a nurse, but she ended up kind of working as a cleaner. And then somebody suggested to her that she go to Birmingham because there's a nursing job and she could train as a nurse. So she came and she worked as a state registered nurse.
What year were you born, if you don't mind me asking?
1958.
Right, okay, I was born in 57. So, yeah.
59.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes, you must have. I mean, have you guys crossed paths then? UB40 and Benjamin, have you kind of crossed paths over the years, being in and around Birmingham, the same age and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, but they don't remember me, you see.
Yeah, we do.
I was going to say no then.
I mean, obviously, we all probably went to the same dances and everything, innit?
Yeah, well, I remember not Trafalgar Road, Woodstock Road.
Yeah, Woodstock Road.
Woodstock Road, and you guys used to come there. And I came to a couple of rehearsals in the very early days. I was doing you a favour. You probably don't remember all that. I was doing some shopping for you.
Right. I know more, man. We all done a few things back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I kind of left. To be honest, I think that when I kind of saw you guys practicing, I don't think you had the name then.
Wow.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Well,
That was really early days because it was called Jeff Canson and Nicotini's because we didn't have that. And then our friend came up with one outside the Bull's Head in Moseley, and it was a period after, I can't even remember how long it was until we got the name UB40, but yeah.
I remember I went to London and then I came back and you did a gig in the pub. Is it the Fox?
What, in King's Heath?
Hair and Hands.
The New Inns. The New Inns.
New Inns, maybe,
Leith.
in Small Heath, Borsleith.
On the Moseley Road.
Oh, sorry, I've lost it. It probably was the New Inns. I remember the New Inns really well. I don't know if it was there.
Or Fighting Cocks in Moseley, we did a gig.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Fighting Cocks.
Yeah.
we did one gig there. That was our local anyway, and we just did one off gig there. So you were at that gig.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And have you seen the band? Have you seen the band since?
No.
Yeah. In fact, it's surprising really that our paths haven't crossed as often as they could have done.
Yeah. No, I remember kind of being at venues where you'd been there the week before and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I used to ride with Neville Staple quite a lot.
Okay.
Oh.
And I can remember kind of just missing you basically. You were at a venue the week before us or a week after us. And then you end up to Jamaica, didn't you?
Yeah, well, we spent a bit of time there recording, and we had a few houses out there for a while.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of time in Jamaica, yeah, on and off, yeah.
Yeah, so we were very close. I mean, I was Handsworth really.
Mm.
I mean, do you remember a sound system called Mafia Tone Hi-Fi?
Yeah, man.
Of course.
I used to toast on Mafia. In fact, before then, I toast on Christopher.
Yeah, man.
Well, I went to all of them. I did Quaker City for a while too.
Yeah.
I used to love Quaker City.
I saw Caretaker the other day.
Sorry?
I saw Caretaker the other day.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah, it changed much.
Those were the days, you know. But I used to toast on those sound systems, mainly from the Handsworth side. And then when I was just getting in too much trouble in Handsworth, so then I started hanging out on the Borsleith, Moseley side until I started getting in trouble there. And I thought, well, there's nowhere else to go. I better go to London.
Well,
I went had trouble in it in the sound system thing because there were like feuds going on, weren't there? You know what I mean? It used to go like dancing, like there'd be like blood, you know, like people stabbing each other and shit. And, you know, running feuds and it, like, you know.
I mean, when you think about it now, it's kind of weird. Sound systems kind of feud. But then again, you know, kids now are killing each other over postcodes.
Yeah. It don't really change. It's just a tribal attitude, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
The gangs.
Jimmy,
How did you become academic then, considering your background?
Well, it's really weird, you know. I mean, when I start teaching my course in university, I always say to the students, look, on paper, you're more educated than me. I left school at the age of 13, unable to read and write. When I learned to read and write, I found then I was dyslexic. I didn't, you know, universities just, I remember sometimes when we used to venture from Borsleith and Moseley, we used to go to Edgbaston and they had the Birmingham University of Birmingham. And it was a strange world, you know. I don't know how to put this. I just wanted to mug everybody because they're just walking around watching and all kind of thing. So it was a strange world, but
we used to go there to steal bikes. That's where we used to regularly go.
I do probably more than that, but
yeah.
Anyway, but no, what happened was, see, when I was doing the sound systems and I was doing my toasting, sometimes I would want to deviate from the toasting and do poetry. And in competition in sound systems, it wasn't really on. But I'll tell you what I used to do sometimes, and this is going way back. Do you remember when there was power cuts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember sometimes I was in Blues in Handsworth and there'd be a power cut. And if there was a power cut in Handsworth, there's usually electricity in Moseley, and people just go over to Moseley, Bolson Heath, right?
Yeah, trod over.
I would just want to keep them there. So I would say, listen, I'm going to entertain you for a while. And then I would do some impersonations and I'd read some poetry. And sometimes I'd keep them there. So it's like a little bit of culture. And it was an odd thing, but it worked sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of frustrating because I wanted to kind of put some more gravitas into what I was saying on the sound system, instead of just going for the rhyme. And then a lot of things happened, the police were looking for me, all kinds of things were going on. I thought, let me just get out of here. And I just went to London. And I was really lucky I went to London at the right time, Rock Against Racism was happening. There was a guy called Roland Muldoon who had this idea. He said, right, I want to get comedians, I want to get poets, even jugglers. He had a thing called alternative cabaret. So I started to work with Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders and Alexis Sale and Rick Mayo.
The 70s are here, or the late 70s, early 80s?
Late 70s. I went to London in 78.
Okay.
So started to work with all those cats and just started to do my poetry was like just really angry poetry, it was just ranting. But we used to have we had a dub poets. That was me, Jean Breeze, Linton Kwesi Johnson, and a couple of other cats. And then you had the punk poets, John Cooper Clarke, Philip Scott Broker, Seething Wells, Jules, Porky the Poet. That's Phil Jupitus. His other character was Porky the Poet,
Brilliant,
yeah. And most of the time they would stay in their camps. But because my dub poetry could speed up, they were called ranters, we were called poets, dub poets. But my first EP is called Dub Ranting. Because I had my feet in both camps, you see. I could perform alongside The Clash, and then I could perform alongside Burning Spear. And then that's what I was doing. And then somebody one day said, write it down and publish a book. And then you publish a book, then you publish another book, and somebody says, do a play, and you do a play, and then you do something else. And then one day somebody said to me, I got a letter and they said, would you accept an honorary doctorate? I didn't even know what it meant, right? I go to the university, they put me in a gown and they give me a piece of paper and they say, you're an honorary doctor now. And then I had about 15 of them. And then one day I got a letter and I thought it was another honorary doctorate from Brunel University. And I didn't even pay any attention to it. And then I read it properly and they said, no, they're offering me a professorship.
Right.
And so I went and said, what's this about? And they explained to me that I would be a professor and they would expect me to do a bit of teaching and et cetera, and I just thought about it. I thought about it for about 6 months. And then I realized that, one of the things I'm passionate about is mentoring, helping up and coming poets. And this would just be a way of formalizing it, and that's what I did. And I'm really passionate about education, because Malcolm X once said something, and a lot of people, he upset a lot of people when he said it, but I can understand why he said it. He said that if you wanted to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. What he was saying was Black people read. And there was some truth in that. There's always been Black people that read, of course. There's always been great Black writers, but the masses of Black people
don't read books.
Technically didn't read books. Actually, the masses of working class white people don't read books.
I was going to say exactly that. That rejection of education is a working class thing that cuts across race.
Yeah, but I can guarantee you that if you look at the people who oppress you as white working class or as Black working class, they read, they are educated. And that's why I'm passionate about it. I remember I was in Jamaica once and I did a little reading at a school. And as I was leaving, I said to the kids, don't forget, kids, education is really important. And one of the kids said, you know what Jamaican schools are like? They're really polite. They said, But dear sir, you know, the most educated people in Jamaica is the most corrupt, right? And it's true, right? It's true, and it's a difficult thing to come back from, because I saw the teachers look at me and they go, right, you know, where do you go now? And I said to the kids, I said, look, because the people that oppress you are educated, you have to educate yourself to do something better than them. You have to know what they're thinking. I mean, there are two heroes of mine, political heroes, if you like. One of them I got to know really well. And I'm talking about modern day people now. One of them was Tony Benn, who's passed away now. And the other is Noam Chomsky, who I've never met, an American intellectual. And the thing I love about those two people is they say, you must read the works of your oppressor. You must know how they think. You can't just say, I don't like Babylon, you know, burn Babylon, blah, blah. You don't understand how Babylon works.
Yeah.
You know? So it's important to read and know what's going on, so you can answer them, so you can reply to them, so you can respond to them, and so you can do better than them. And I can understand the nervousness. If you look at Bob Marley, one of his tracks, he said, building church and university, deceiving the people continually, graduating thieves and murderers, right? And there's some truth in that, but that doesn't mean that we should not do ourselves education.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting, Benjamin, that a few things that you've touched on there are encapsulated in a song that UB40 wrote. It was the first song on their first album, a song called Tyler. And it's one that we, you suggested we might play tonight, actually, as one of your favourite UB40 songs.
Well, you see, I don't know if you know, there's a song by Bob Dylan, and it's called Hurricane.
Yeah.
Right? It's about a boxer, right, who was imprisoned wrong. And I remember hearing that and going, what's he talking about? And I just thought, right, and this is the day before the internet, and I had to go and find out who the Hurricane was. You had to go to a library or something, I think, and just sit there and who it was, right?
When they used to exist.
I made a film about him later on.
They made a movie called The Hurricane, didn't they?
Yeah, which I've never seen, actually, but I've heard about it.
Somebody like Denzel, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was,
Somebody big.
Yeah.
But anyway, it fascinated me, and I just thought, wow, you know, because I grew up on Rasta music, and that was about educating people. Then I hear this kind of white guy that comes out of the hippie movement educating me about this black guy. And it was just like, yeah, that's what music should do. It tells me a story and makes me go and find out. And the same thing happened when I heard Tyler first. I was like, what are they singing about? You know. And then I went and looked it up, and I thought, God, Gary Tyler, it just, you know. So I had the same feeling basically when I heard that as I had when I heard Hurricane, and it was just, as you say, kind of educational, you know.
Well, we're gonna have a listen to it, and for all those people watching this on social media, the stream is going to cut in the next few minutes. And but stay with us. Get over to the UB40 app, because we've got a lot more coming from Benjamin. We've got some Bob Marley music and some really good stuff, and also the premiere of Gilly G's new track. So get across to the app. In the meantime, Matt's going to play Tyler. For those of you in the toilet break or a drink, let's go.
Short version, I think.
Let's do it.
judges said so. What right do we have to say it's not so? Tyler is guilty, what judges said so. What right do we have to say it's not so? Planted, no matching bullets, no prints on the handle, no proof to show. But Tyler is guilty, the white judges said so. To show him no mercy, they won't let him go. Tyler is guilty, white judges said so. What right do we have to say it's not so? Tyler is guilty, white judges said so. What right do we have to say it's not so? You may get an answer, the process is slow. The federal couple too much to happen. It's been 85 years and they won't let him go. Tyler is guilty, what judges said so. What right do we have to say it's not so? Tyler is guilty, what judges said so. What right do we have to say it's not so? Tyler is guilty, what judges said so. See, they won't let him go. Tyler is guilty, what judges said so. They show him no mercy, they won't let him
There you go, Jimmy. We got the short version.
We did, yeah. Funny
Yeah.
enough, with that song, the way I wrote that song was I got an article from the Socialist Worker newspaper about Tyler, and basically just cut it up into little pieces and made it rhyme, and kind of quite easy to do. But that's where we found it, because we were flirting with the Socialist Worker Party at the time.
Right.
We did a gig for them really way back in the tent, and that's where we got the idea.
Ah, interesting. The figure,
Basically written in the year that Benjamin went off to London.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because we used to go to all the Rock Against Racism gigs and the big demos.
yeah.
You know, Lewisham and all them big demos. We used to go to them, and that's how the band was kind of born out of that protest movement, Rock Against Racism and all that. You know what I mean?
Right. The thing I like about that track as well, it just came back to me when you played it there, was the introduction. I remember hearing it and it just set, because the words don't come in really quick, it sets me in the mood to listen. Something important is going to be said here. You know, and I like that when, you know, you don't think that, you know, after a few bars, you've got to come in with the verse or the chorus or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, settle down. This is serious shit, you know? I don't know if that's conscious, but that's what it feel like to me. Like, when we were talking, as soon as you play the tune, I go, right, something's coming now.
Well, that was one of the very first tunes we came up with, you know. It was like proper early stuff, that was like.
Yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing when it came to writing our own tunes, because we'd just been copying old reggae tunes up until that point, you know. And that was us attempting to write songs for the first time. And looking back at it, we didn't do too bad a job, really. You know.
But it's travelled well in terms of you've kept that in the set, sort of. It's been on and off, but it's been in more than it's been out over the years. And it's obviously you had to change the lyrics a few years ago when Gary finally got released.
Yeah.
35 years later, yeah.
So when you play it live, you change the lyrics?
Yeah, it's been 35 years, and they've
just let him go.
Let him go.
Yeah, no. You see, now I wouldn't change the lyrics. I would say, right, you know, I would say to the audience, this was our response to that.
Yeah.
You know, I do stuff.
I agree. I agree, Benjamin.
Yeah,
I would never have changed it.
You got outvoted, didn't you, for that one?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into band politics now.
Yeah, no.
Hey, Benjamin, speaking of politics, if you do a search on Google for Benjamin Zephaniah and UB40, it comes up with a little story about, and I don't know how true this is, so you might be able to enlighten me, but it says that there's a story about you stealing a girlfriend from a member of UB40, and then when they get on top of the pops, they stole her back. Is there any truth?
That sounds like a myth, but
It's actually true. The weird thing is, I can't remember her name. I was telling the story on stage in this is serious because when I say the name, it's going to sound weird. I was telling the story on stage in Tunbridge Wells, of all places. You know, and I told a story, and after the show, this woman came up to me and she went, "That was my daughter." And I said, "Yeah," and she said, "Yeah," and she told me her name, and I went, "Yeah, that's her. Yeah, she said, that's my daughter." She said she was a right one. She was, but she's okay now. She's okay now. She's married an accountant.
Okay. I wonder who it was.
Who the accountant?
I don't think we want to know now, do we? After all these years, we'll keep that one secret.
No, it's absolutely true.
Swiftly moving on. I heard another story, Benjamin, that you might want to share about you being mistaken for Bob Marley on a flight.
Oh, that used to happen to Astro all the time on a daily basis, in America especially.
Yeah,
Well, apparently there's a funny twist though to this one.
Well, it does happen to me all the time, but this time I was on a plane in China and we hadn't taken off, we were just on the ground. And this guy comes up to me and he says, "Can I have your autograph?" in broken English. So I say, "Yeah," and I signed it, of course, Benjamin Zephaniah. I give it to him and he goes, "No." And I go, "What's the problem?" He says, "Bob Marley, saying Bob Marley." So I said, "I'm not Bob Marley, and Bob Marley's been dead for a long time." He said, "You're Bob Marley, man." I said, "I'm not Bob Marley." I said, "If you want, I'll sign it, Bob Marley, but I'm not Bob Marley, right?" And then this other Chinese guy comes up and he goes, "You stupid guy, this is not Bob Marley. I know who this is. This is Kofi Annan."
Oh dear.
I'll be Bob Marley. Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
So you spent a bit of time out in China, is that right?
I lived there for a while, yeah.
Really?
Working or something else?
Well, it's a really weird story. I went there to write a book. Well, no, I practiced martial arts and I went there to do my martial arts study. But at the same time, I was going to write a book. And I said to my publisher, when I come back, I should have this book finished. So I went there and I kind of stay in Beijing, but the place where I studied my Kung Fu is out in a small village in the middle of nowhere. So it's cut off, there's no internet or anything. And I finished writing my book and then I wrote another one. So I came back to my publisher and I went, "Here's the book I was going to write, and here's another book." And they went, "What? You did two?" "Stay out there, go and get back out there," right? And so they kind of bought me a place. I say bought me a place. We're not allowed to own outright, so the government owns a share of the house, apartment. And I stayed there for a while. And then I realized that I kept going to Beijing, and I wanted to go to other places. I mean, China's big.
Yeah.
And I kept going to Beijing, and I realized that I wanted to go lots of other places. So if I didn't have the property, then I'd go other places, so I got rid of it basically. I do like China. It's a difficult place, and obviously I lived in Britain all my life. I lived in a capitalist country, but I didn't really understand capitalism until I went to China, a communist country.
Yeah, man.
Because they're all capitalists out there, this idea that they're communist.
Yeah, that's the thing.
People are walking around thinking about Karl Marx. It's just not true. They all want to make money.
Yeah.
And if you look, this Zoom that we're using now is Chinese. China is everywhere now. And I've just reread the autobiography of Malcolm X. And it's really interesting because at the end of the book, he says, I mean, I felt so connected to. I read it before years ago, but now reading it, I felt so connected because his lifestyle. He was so much the same as me. He talks about, you know, doing crime and getting enlightenment and getting away from crime and all that stuff. But at the end of it, he says, "I wish I was more formally educated," and so do I. You know, and he said that he would like to have learned Chinese and Arabic. He says because China is going to be the country of the future, and Arabic and Islam is going to be a lot more high profile than it is then when he was talking about the 60s.
Yeah.
And both those things have come true.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Yeah.
It's like Dubai and that. That's like where the future is, isn't it? I mean, they were supposed to have the expo this year, isn't it? With all the futuristic stuff that's happening. You know what I mean? They got monorails and everything.
Oh,
you know what I mean? That's so large. And yeah, what you're saying there is kind of true. And obviously China's the biggest, you know, manufacturer of everything in the world at the moment. So yeah.
You go to Shanghai, it's like walking into the future in some places, you know? They got a train that doesn't touch the ground, it floats.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, the maglev.
Yeah, the monorail thing. And
Yeah, have you been on it? Anybody been on it?
No, we've been to Hong Kong, but never been to China.
Right. Oh, that train is weird because you're going faster than a plane, but you're just above the ground. So you know on a train when you see houses go past you, you kind of go like that. Yeah. The houses go.
Yeah.
It's like you are flying on a plane, but you're on the ground where you're not touching the ground.
It's amazing. It's called maglev, magnetic levitation.
Yeah, that's it.
The thing that I found amazing about Shanghai, Benjamin, is the area called Pudong, where the airport is.
Yes.
If anybody searches it 20 years ago, it's basically a marshland.
Yes.
And now, 25 years on, it's like Manhattan.
Yeah, it's where all the rich Chinese film stars live and all that. You know, it is the place to be.
Yeah.
It was a bog not so long ago.
Yeah, a funny place though. It's interesting you mentioned, obviously it is still communist, but with that capitalist outlook, I guess, from within. It's a weird thing to put your finger on.
Well, you know, a few years ago, they would want to get rid of the word communist and Communist Party and all that stuff. And the only reason why they keep it is because of nostalgia reason, because they remember the revolution, and there's lots of people who fought in the revolution who are, you know, still alive or connected to it. It's always in respect to them because there's nothing about the country, you know. It's like it's just a name, and even the, you know, the politics, the way that they control the media and all that stuff is not communist. You know, lots of people do that in different parts of the world, and that's not in the Communist Manifesto. And Marx never said, you know. Control, it's just they're just holding on to the word for nostalgic reasons. It's real capitalism. And the other thing is, when I was in China, I understood what remember a long time ago we didn't say developing countries, we said third world countries.
Yeah.
When I'm in China, I understand why they said that now, because I knew what was the first world. We was in the first world.
Supposedly.
What was the third world, right? Because that was, you know, parts of Africa and parts of Asia and what we call the developing countries now. But I used to scratch my head and go, what's the second world then? You know, but that was like the communist countries where there wasn't the kind of poverty that you saw in India.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was a level of poverty. So if you look at China, if you look at Beijing and Shanghai, it's all on the East Coast. And like I said, you can be living in the future. Just go a few miles west and it's like, it's like going back to poverty.
Oxen and the carts, the old wooden cart.
Yeah.
Haves and have-nots, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but the question that I mean, Jimmy, I know you've been looking forward to speaking to to Benjamin about a lot of things that are going on in the world. But seeing as we're talking about China, what do you think might be the reason that they've dealt with COVID particularly well, as have some of the surrounding nations, when we've bollocksed it right up?
I think the answer to that is relatively easy. Okay, if you look at South Korea. South Korea didn't have a lockdown at all. They had track and trace. But it was efficient. If you didn't have a phone in South Korea, they gave you one. The government gave you one. And they had a track and trace system, which was really good. China went the other way. China had a lockdown, which was absolute. I mean, in China's lockdown, right?
Yeah, it's like
I have. Sorry.
It's like martial law in it. It's like lockdown proper.
Well, it was real lockdown, right? Yeah. I mean, I have family in China, right? And they're telling me every day, right? Their lockdown was absolute. In fact, it was really funny because there were some people on one day, they said, right, from 9 o'clock on this day, lockdown, wherever you are, stay there. And there were some people that were at their girlfriends' or boyfriends' houses when they should have been at home with their wife or husband, and they were just stuck there, right? Couldn't go anywhere, right? And whatever you were, the government paid you. They paid all the positions, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's about the support in the end. You can lock people down, but you have to support them.
You have to support them. And if you were a doctor or a nurse or you worked in the front line, they gave you an apartment so you didn't go home to your family.
Right, yeah.
Now, what do South Korea and China have in common in terms of their reaction to the virus? Two different approaches, but they were both consistent.
Yeah.
We had a bit of this and a bit of that. First, the government said, you don't need masks. Then they said, you need masks. And it doesn't matter about shaking hands. Then it matters about shaking hands. We're not going to have a lockdown. Then we have a lockdown. Kids in school, kids out of school, bit of this, bit of that. Stay away from restaurants, eat at restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so...
Go and see Granny down the park.
All my South Korean friends are looking at us and going, is that what democracy is? You know, they're laughing at us and thinking we're crazy.
Oh, we are.
Whatever anymore. They're not
whatever system you use, as you say, it has to be consistent. And it can't vary. You can't go left and right. You've got to just do what you've decided to do.
Have you seen the biggest band in the world at the moment?
What's that?
The biggest
band in the world at the moment.
Oh, that K-rock band.
Sorry?
Those
Korean.
No, band in New Zealand.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, the biggest band in the world is this band in New Zealand, because New Zealand, you can go to their concerts and they're just playing to millions.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're right. I think you're right though. That inconsistency. I mean, if you try and sit on two chairs, you fall on the floor, don't you? And I think that's what we've done. But yeah.
I think the problem in England was that we had a simple message in the beginning: stay home. And as soon as they changed that message to stay alert, that was a meaningless message. It doesn't mean
stay home was too late.
Yeah, stay home was too late. But then stay alert, that doesn't mean anything. And from that point on, I mean, I remember in England where it was the roads were quiet, the shops were shut, the air was clearing. You know, it was actually quite a beautiful thing for a brief few weeks. And after that, that never returned, even though it was supposed to be locked down.
There's another thing which is really important here, and you just alluded to it when you said it's all right telling people to lock down, but you must support them. Government
Absolutely.
are left-leaning, and when I say left-leaning, I mean that in a kind of general term. It can be kind of left Labour Party left, or kind of extreme left, like China or something like that, right? They understand. They have a culture having to feed the poorest, and of a national health service. It may not be called that, but caring for the people. The government spending money on the people. The Tory government here don't know how to do that. They just don't know how to do it. They've been given a job that they don't know how to do, and it's a bit like I mean, I don't have kids. It's like somebody give me a baby and go, "Well, take care of it." I go, "Oh, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. I just don't know how to care for it." They just don't know how to take care of people, how to take care of the homeless. Even what the Marcus Rashford, what's his name, the footballer? Rashford. Yeah. He's got everybody talking about feeding children who can't afford meals at home and everything like that. And he kind of makes the government think about it. And even in doing that, the Tory government think, how can we make some money out of this? How can we make some money from this? So we'll get boxes that cost £30 and just put £5 worth of food in them.
Gotta make a profit.
Make it up.
Yeah, it's all. It's typical Tories, isn't it? They privatise everything and just makes everything worse. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Thank God.
Yeah, and it's jobs for the boys.
Health service which obviously they've tried to erode over like decades. But at least we've still got it now to help us through the vaccination thing. Do you know what I mean? Which is going to obviously hopefully bring us out of this this whole thing, innit? You know, it's
the
like
Tory party are just a conduit for extracting taxpayers' money on behalf of private capital. That's what they do. You know, they use taxpayers' money to keep their friends afloat, because a lot of their friends can't compete in the capitalist world. They don't want competition. They want public services. They want to be getting public money to keep them afloat. You know, the G4Ss of this world. You know, and that's all the Tories can do, because they've had over 40 years of reducing public services in the name of neoliberalism. You know, and that's what we've had. You know,
one of the problems with the Labour Party in the next couple of years is that this is what the Tory party say, they're going to have a big package of spending now, and they've kind of taken away Labour's funder. You know, that's what Labour would be saying, and Labour just go, well, we can't beat that. You know what I mean? It's like we can't beat, because they have to beat them at their own game now. They have to come with something really truly original, and I think they're going to find it difficult. I think the way, you know, if anything changes, I mean, look, I've got to put my cards on the table here. I'm an anarchist, you know, I don't like any of them really, right? And most of the time it's just a lesser of evils, right? I believe we can go back to the way we used to live a long time ago, before there were big governments and we lived cooperatively. You know, but I won't go into that now. But I'm just saying, for me, it's not a party political thing, but it is the lesser of evils. I don't think Joe Biden is God and Camilla Harris is kind of the extreme left, but it's just much better than Trump, right? So,
marginally better, not much
so
better.
I think, you know, that's where the Labour Party is now. It's like, you know, how can we kind of do better than them, because they're taking our policies, and although they're not doing them right, they kind of have
exactly. That's what they do. What the way they forward is to do the policies correctly, is to do it properly.
Well, yeah, that's
because all they've done, all the Tory party's done, is fuck up everything they've done.
Yeah. But when I said something a few years ago, I actually made a TV program about this. I said that the idea behind this TV program was that when it comes to elections, there should be no campaigning, there should be no electioneering, and people go, "What? You know, how can that work?" And I say, "Well,
find out for yourself.
If you take away that, right, you can see exactly what the government have done in government, and you can see exactly what the opposition have done. It's not about how much advertising spend I've got and how I can advertise and kind of go and meet the constituents and kiss babies and all that kind of stuff, and put on overall and act like I'm with the workers and all that kind of stuff. You'd have a clear view. You wouldn't have any of the spin. But we are so used to doing politics the way we do them that I don't think that's ever going to happen. But.
Well, we're so used to now following America wherever they go, and there's an Americanization of, you know, politics that's been happening over, you know, the politics of personality rather than policy and all that kind of thing. It's following that American route, and the Tories are very happy with that because they own the media, and that's what's going to get them and keep them in power. Because
I mentioned earlier that two of my heroes were Noam Chomsky and Tony Benn. Tony Benn was a Labour man, left Labour man. He's like, I was talking to him about.
You've just named two people who are absolutely our heroes.
Our heroes, yeah.
I was talking to some kids the other day, some students, about Tony Benn, and I said his name was Anthony Wedgwood Benn, and he was grown. He was, you know, he had this name, and he went to court to get rid of his title, and the kids went, "What?" I mean, everybody now will buy a title. You know what I mean? They'll do anything to get a title. He went to court to get rid of a title. But if I wanted, let's just say I could imagine like a government, a world government or something, and people to head it, I would choose either Noam Chomsky or Arundhati Roy. Do you know Arundhati?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what do those two people have in common? They wouldn't take it because they don't want to be rulers.
They wouldn't want to be.
My point is that if you want power, if you want to run for politics in the way that we do politics now, you're probably the person that shouldn't be in power.
Absolutely. I say that about when people talk about Jeremy Corbyn. He was a reluctant leader, and I want my leaders to be reluctant. Because the ones
I don't know if you saw me on Question Time. I said that. I said Jeremy Corbyn. I know him from campaigning back in the day, right, in the 70s and 80s, and he's almost too nice. He cares too much, and
absolutely,
dirty business, and he shouldn't be dirtying himself in there, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
one day.
It's interesting, Benjamin, and I think people are going to think that this show's rehearsed because we're going to play a song called "I'm All Right, Jack," which is all about, written by Duncan Campbell. Obviously, it's from UB40's most recent album, and it's all about politicians thinking, "I'm all right, Jack. Forget everybody else." So it's a song that you chose, Benjamin, from when we asked you.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah. Okay.
When I heard it, I just thought it just said so much about the time and people's attitudes, and I actually thought that it doesn't just apply to MPs, but it just struck me, and there was something about, again, the tempo of it and everything just drew me in and made me listen to the words. I'm a wordsmith. So.
Yeah, that's what we're all about, mate. Yeah, when we've got our own stuff, it's all about But the words.
Let's play it, and I encourage people to listen in carefully to these lyrics because they're important. Let's do it, Matt.
Go.
John.
You give me your hard luck story. I don't care now, you voted for me. I know austerity's breaking your back, but I'm alright, Jack. Don't complain that there's no state housing. I bought mine, made a profit of thousands. There's not many left, but I can't help that. But I'm alright, Jack. Everything's going just fine. You're struggling, I know, but even so, I'm sick of hearing you whine. Don't you tell me you can't get a house. I've got two and I'm renting one now. Okay, private landlords are holding you back, but I'm alright, Jack. Don't stop moaning or don't pay taxes. All of my scams, they are legal practice. I'm entitled, you can't have it back. And I'm alright, Jack. I'm alright, Jack. I'm alright, Jack. I'm doing okay, there's no more to say. Everything's going just fine. You're struggling, I know, but even so, you don't have to moan all the time.
Hey, Mr. MP, how you going, so? You don't know, so your job is to feed the people. How come you have to feed off of the people? So last year, I know your time coming a road boy, have some questions for an answer, you know. You gone too rich, man, sure. It must be nice to be able to buy the house where you want. It must be nice to be able to buy the car where you want. It must be nice to be able to book the flight where you want and fly around the world and do whatever you want. It must be nice to be able to book the hotel where you want. Nice to be able to call a cab when you want. It must be nice to be able to book the best restaurant and eat and drink whatever you feel for and want.
I'm doing okay, there's no more to say. Everything's going just fine. You're struggling, I know, but even so, I'm sick of hearing you whine. Don't you tell me you can't get a house. times they are legal practice. I'm entitled, you can't have it back. And I'm alright, yeah. 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 I'm alright, yeah.
Great to hear that as always. But I've got to say, Robin, as good as that is, I prefer the live version when Pablo's giving it some real welly.
And we
Live version's always better than the record.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Standard.
Well, listen, Jimmy, as I said before, I know you've been looking forward to speaking with Benjamin for some time. So do you want to choose the next subject matter?
Well, yeah, I'm just wondering where Benjamin thinks we are now that the dust has settled, now that Jeremy Corbyn's gone and the Tories are in the ascendancy. Where does he think it's going to go from here? There.
Oh,
You have to unmute yourself, Benjamin.
Unmute, mate.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say the dust has settled? Do you mean after the election and Brexit?
After the election and all that, and Labour have been buried, Jeremy Corbyn's been buried, the Tories are fully in power.
Yeah.
Where's that going to
Yeah, but I wouldn't say they were necessarily in the ascendancy.
Oh.
I think they're losing ground at the moment. They're doing a shit job.
Yeah.
I'm left with.
The thing is that I was going to say these are unpredictable and unprecedented times, and I hate when people say that because as a militant vegan, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I've been warning about these times for ages, but what I mean is that we can have it is possible, and I'll just say it is possible, that by the time you have the next election, this pandemic is over and everybody loves Boris again. And he makes promises to and all that kind of stuff.
Ain't gonna happen, man.
And he's back on track. That's the kind of nightmare scenario. I just wish the people of Britain would wake up. I think this is probably a bit of a harsh thing to say, but I think that a lot of people are being duped by our politicians, and especially by the Tory party, into kind of believing their promises. And I don't know what it's going to take. I think it's a difficult one, because if you're going to rely on the ballot box, then you just have to rely on somebody in. All right. Ever since I've voted, I've only ever voted Labour and Green, right? Like I said, I'm an anarchist. I don't really want to vote, but I'm voting for the lesser of evils, and I'm voting tactically, depending on what's going on. Right? Yeah. If there was somebody that was really radical that came through,
mate, yeah,
on the Labour side, but we can't see anybody coming up through the ranks.
It ain't.
Well, if anyone does, they're usually destroyed, aren't they?
Yes,
they're destroyed by the media and made into a clown. That's what happened with Tony Benn. You know, he was a brilliant speaker and never said anything that wasn't absolutely 100% right, but he was turned into a clown by the media, and people used to, whenever he was on television being interviewed, people used to giggle at him, you know.
Yeah, well, I remember with Corbyn, when especially in the early days, all his interviews was all about what he wears and that he's a vegetarian and all this kind of stuff. You think, you know, you'd never say that to, you know, I don't know, Boris Johnson or.
It's really biased.
The propaganda machine is a very, it works, you know.
Well, yeah, except that Jeremy Corbyn produced the biggest swing to Labour since World War II, the largest growth of the vote since the 1930s, and the biggest left-wing party in Europe in 2017. That was so close, you know. And he was the radical that came through by accident. We were that close.
Yes.
And I just feel that was my opportunity in my lifetime to see somebody decent in charge of the country.
What do you think Corbyn could have done differently, Jimmy? Now, retrospectively, do you think
he would have completely rewritten the rules of society? Completely rewritten the whole thing.
Everything. He would have done everything different.
Yeah.
He was the only candidate that was offering any change. And now what we've got is just the same neoliberal consensus we've had since Thatcher, you know.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely true. But I think if Corbyn would have got in power, he would have done some great things. But I also think some people would have reacted against him.
Of course.
Oh yeah, well, there's always going to be that. Yeah.
But what I mean is, I don't necessarily mean, you know, politicians. I mean, you know, people who care about their money, kind of leaving the country and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of that would have gone. And big business would have kind of plotted against him. You know, Amazon would have gone against him. You know, it's like all those people who have vested interest in kind of not paying tax, etc., etc. And you know, and the media is a powerful thing. You know,
well, that's what scuppered him in it, is a media assassination of his personality. You know, like any chance they got, they ridiculed him, didn't they? You know, on a daily basis. You know what I mean?
And so, you know, where we go from here, I don't know. I wish people would just be more revolutionary and not be scared of revolution. And
that is the human condition, though, isn't it? You know, they are conditioned and always have been. The world over, the media controls what people think and how they think. And as you were talking about education earlier, you know, keep people stupid, keep people ignorant, and they're so much easier to mold and control. You know, manipulate. Absolutely.
It's like the Murdochs, isn't it? The Murdochs are like so responsible for like modern politics with like Trump. And obviously the Tory party.
Yeah,
it's like it's a joke.
Of political discourse. Yeah, you know, remember Murdoch goes all the way back to Wapping and the early 80s and the late 70s. We have a society now designed to suit Murdoch. You know,
well, there's a reason why 99% of the people are ruled by like 1%, basically, something around that. You know, because
and always have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it?
The thing is, I remember years ago, people like me were campaigning and saying, you know, we want to hear the people's voice. The people must be heard. We have to find a way of like, not in those days, the news was just like the newspapers, and then you'd have something like the Socialist Workers' Party paper and a couple of radical things, you know what I mean? But, you know, the press that was really reaching people was the mainstream kind of Murdoch press, basically. And so we wanted something else. And I was like, I kind of, without calling it the internet, I imagined something like the internet, a way of giving people the voice to speak. And then when you give them the voice to speak, what do you know what I mean? It's like, I remember when I got this poem, and I didn't really understand YouTube or anything then. And then I did a poem with these guys, and it kind of went viral. And I didn't know what it meant at the time. I just got a call in the middle of the night, Benjamin, we've got 1 million hits or something like that. And I go, what does that mean? Go on to this thing called YouTube and look at it. And I went onto YouTube, and it's like, yeah, great poem, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at the comments, and then he's nothing but a nigger. Don't call him a nigger. And then they start arguing. It's got nothing to do with me at all.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, is this the future?
Yeah.
You know, there's some people that argue that we should have like Australian style kind of elections, that everybody has to vote, right? Now, I was completely against that. And then I kind of changed my mind and went, maybe that's a good idea. But now I think, no, you should only vote if you can. Somebody said to me the other day, and I think this is really good, that you should be able to prove that you understand the issues. You should have like a test to see that you know the issues, no? I met a woman.
You'd only get 20% of the population voting then, though, wouldn't you?
Well, no, so be it then. I mean, I met this woman who she said, "Oh, I voted for Brexit, but I don't like the way it's going. So in the next election, I'm going to vote against it." And I'm like,
yeah, it's a real hard one about the internet and the freedom of people to say what they want. But you know, Is there there's no, you know what I mean? How far can you go on that without like abusing people and being horrible and that? And how do you police it and all that? It's the question of the decade, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to sort out. Now, Trump getting banned on the internet was the best thing ever, man, because it's gone all quiet. It's gone quiet.
I'll tell you
something.
One day.
But who might decide that?
Who are you to call it, say, twittering daily like a baby?
when Trump,
exactly.
not long after Trump got elected, and they were all talking about Trump and Twitter and everything, in the middle of the night, it literally was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I thought, let me just go on Trump's Twitter and see what he's doing. I couldn't believe it. The president of the United States, he was arguing with a woman from Luton.
Well, there you go. That sums it up, mate. That sums it up, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's got time to have an argument with a woman from Luton.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be doing like presidential shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I thought the president of the free world. I look at what time it was in America, and I thought, well, he should be busy now. And he's arguing with someone from Luton. He should be asleep.
Well, listen, on that, I think it's time for another track. And another one that Benjamin put forward is a Bob Marley number, We and Them. Doesn't sound very good coming in a Yorkshire accent, does it? We and Them. I think I need to Gilly while you talk now. But that was an influential track for you, Benjamin.
Yeah, you see, you must listen to the words of this. It's funny because I was going to say this poem. Well, it is a poem. There's not many words in this song, right? But just listen to them. What he's saying is, we don't know how we and them are going to work this out. We don't have no friends in a high society. It's exactly what we were talking about,
Yeah.
They don't really care about us. We don't have no friends. Mark my identity. He's saying, I've been there. I've seen them. I've been to their champagne parties. They don't really care about us. We don't have no friends at all. We don't know how
the age-old battle.
Work this out.
It's the age-old battle, isn't it, between the haves and the have-nots? It's the same old, 99%.
Which is a track coming up on the new UB40 album coming out very soon.
Sorry?
What happened to the have-nots is a track on the new UB40.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
The new album you're recording.
Whatever happened to the have-nots.
That's quite the tune.
So the point being is whether it's Bob Marley singing about it 30 odd 40 years ago or it's now, it's still the same message.
It's a universal theme, but he said it beautifully because he was a poet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's listen to it. Let's listen to it and play it through.
We don't know how we and them are going to work it out.
Someone will have to pay for the innocent blood that they shed every day. Oh, children, mark my word, it's what the Bible says. Oh, we don't know how we and them are gonna work this out. We don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. But in the beginning, God created everything. He gave man dominion over all things. But now it's too late. You see, men has lost their faith. Hey, eating up all the flesh from off dirt. Hey. We don't know how we and them are gonna work this out. We don't know. We don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. No, we don't know. Stop, stand up, stand up. flesh and bone. We don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. But we don't have no friends in a high society. Yeah, we don't have no friends. Oh, mark my identity. Oh, we don't have no friends. Oh, oh. Yeah. We don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. Oh, we don't know. We don't know how we and them are gonna work this out. We don't know. We don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. No, we don't know. We don't know how we and them are gonna work this out. Rock, stop, stop. We don't know how we and them are gonna work it out. The bounce, the
Wicked.
An old favourite of that, yours, Robin? Eyes on. eyes on.
Yikes. Sorry?
An old favourite of yours, that one.
Oh, well, it's Marley, isn't it?
Yeah,
Of
wicked, man.
course, it's a favourite. And as I say, it's, you know, it's the age-old theme that's been written about a million times throughout the ages from the year dot. It's still all about, you know,
Me and them.
yeah, it's like
Joe
400
Biden.
years, or it's like Earl's song, you know, don't bother with sorry, don't bother with delay, you know, give us back what you've taken off us, you know, that's what those songs are about, you know, and it's an eternal theme that'll never be sorted by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's like Joe Biden, isn't it? It's like, how's he going to work it out with them mad mothers, you know what I mean, on the other side of the house? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, he's got that.
You know, I think
Yeah, that's going to be like,
there's a symbiotic relationship between them now, because you're talking about these Democrats, they're hawks. You know, when Trump won, he won against a really awful candidate, which was Hillary Clinton. You know, she was the candidate of Occupy Wall Street, but she was bankrolled by Wall Street. You know, and she's the candidate. She's the feminist candidate, but she's bankrolled by the Saudis. You know, there was that hypocrisy from the Democrats that made people, they didn't want to come out and vote for her. You know, that even though she still got 3 million more votes than Trump, but you know, there wasn't enough people that wanted to come out and vote for her because there's a hypocrisy there. And I think that's the problem, is there's a symbiotic relationship between the hawkish Democrats, as they are now, who love to have foreign adventures for some reason, and you know, the consequences of Trump. It was promising to bring troops home. You know,
politics is just a dirty business. You know, it really is a dirty business.
It's dirtier. It's dirtier than the music business, man, and that's saying something. Do you know what I mean?
Do either of you think that a lot of people actually voted for Biden, or do you think people voted against Trump?
Yeah, a bit of both.
I think there's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that more people voted than have ever voted before.
Yeah.
And the only reason is Trump.
Not Biden. Yeah.
That's true.
But it's too volatile.
But you must remember,
you didn't know what he was going to wake up in the morning to, what's going to be on the news, and like people don't. I think they voted against that. You know, uncertainty.
People who voted for Trump didn't really vote for Trump. They just vote because they always vote Republican.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but it does have a massive following, you know, because he's a reality TV star, isn't he? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same as Boris. How the hell does anybody vote for Boris? But millions do.
I remember one year in Britain, we had an election the same year as we had when Big Brother was really big, and more people voted in Big Brother than voted in the election. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But I think there's a reason for that. I mean, I think we're talking about like the Blair days, you know, and the problem is that what Blair represents, and to me, what Starmer represents to some degree, is just the slightly better management of the economy on behalf of private capital. That's what they are offering. And when you've got One Nation Tories and centrist Labour and the Lib Dems all dancing on that the head of one pin, you know, of the neoliberal consensus. So there's no difference between any of them. And why would you go out and vote? Because it doesn't make any difference who gets in, you know.
Well, I remember, funny enough, I remember in the 70s, there's two slogans I used to really, I was going to say like, but I used to say all the time is like, don't vote, the government will get in, right? And the other one was like, I think I used to paint it on the streets of Birmingham, help the police, beat yourself up. But look, right, as an anarchist, if I talk to people about anarchism, if I go in the public media and talk about it, you always get these comments about, you know, that's just a pipe dream, it's so far away. If you look at the existence of mankind on Earth, we've actually been longer without any governments than we have with governments.
Absolutely.
We just got into a rut where we think we need them. And we think that we need the church and state. We think we need the state to manage
the old school
affairs, and we think that we need the church to manage our spiritual affairs. We don't need any of them. No. Before the church and state, we were doing it for ourselves. We were sorting out our problems. If there was a bad kid in the block, we would all get together and deal with their parents. You know, I remember being in Kenya and going. I was doing a program for the BBC, and it was about the Maasai people, and it was about, you know, it's about Maasai and how they're marketed as a kind of, you know, tourist attraction kind of thing. Yeah. And I went to the Tanzanian border and I spoke to these guys and I said to them, you know, do you feel Kenyan or do you feel Maasai? You know, that question, do you feel black or British? And they just went like, well, we're on the border. We don't recognize the border. We've never recognized the border.
Exactly. Yeah, we're a tribe. Yeah.
We don't see anybody from government here. You know, we are complete anarchists here. We control ourselves. And so I said to him, I said, there was a boy, and I said, what happens if that boy steals something? Because in the West, you say you need the police to get him. And they said, no, if that boy steals something, we don't arrest the boy. We go to his parents and say, what's going on in the family? You know, like a complete system of anarchy. There are anarchist systems in this world right now. There are pockets of anarchism, like parts of Syria, for example. There's government there. People are, you know, there's parts of India, there's parts of Africa where people don't see the government at all, and they manage their own affairs. And it's possible. It's just that we've lost that habit. We think we can't do it anymore. We think, who will make the roads? Who will lock up the criminals? You know, anarchy, doesn't it mean everybody going crazy? Well, you know, before we had the church and we had the state, we had anarchy. And trust me, it wasn't that bad, you know. The idea of taxes, you know, that's a Roman thing.
Yeah, it's to raise money for war, usually.
Pay for wars.
That's all it is,
If I can follow up on that just a little bit, if you take the existence of humankind as a 24-hour clock, then right up to 1 minute to midnight, we were in the Stone Age.
Yes.
And if you dig up what they discovered about skeletons, they dig up from the Stone Age, is that over 90% of them were healthy, which means that Stone Age man was gregarious. They shared their resources. And that the people died of old age. And this is what they've discovered from the skeletons of the Stone Age, is that people organized themselves to share their resources and did it without wars and without conflict. And
with that, loads of tiers of government. I think with the Brexit thing, there's so many tiers of government. You got your local government, you got central government, you got your main government, European government. How many governments do you need to rule yourself? You know, it's like you don't really need any of them, do you? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's just madness, man. It's just like I'm with you, Benjamin.
If you always needed to be controlled, then there would be chaos. You know, there are billions of transactions every day that rely on people showing each other respect, and that happens without anybody telling people what to do. You know, so I think you find that you've got some sort of like fledgling anarchists amongst the band as well. We've always been there.
Well, it's about confidence, and the problem with it, it's difficult to see. You know, the only big anarchist state in recent times, if you can call it recent, was in Spain, right?
Yeah.
And what happened was, people who you think actually may look a bit more favourable to anarchism, communists, just crushed it.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And why did they do it? They said, we don't want to show people living without a government successfully.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The left don't want to see, the right don't want to see, nobody wants to see.
The communists famously did that the Spanish Civil War. That was what they did. At the end of the Spanish Civil War, they trained their guns on the anarchists.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, okay, you're talking about exactly the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, you know,
and that goes right back to what you said, Jimmy, about the best politicians shouldn't be politicians, you know, people who run the government, they shouldn't have anything or like an ambition, do you know what I mean, to forward themselves. It should be about, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
Sometimes when I'm doing interviews, people say to me, can you name, you know, a hero of yours, you know? And I know what they expect. They expect me to say, you know, some people I've met, obviously, and they expect me to say, well, you know, I met Nelson Mandela or something like that. And as good as people like that are, sometimes, depending on the situation, sometimes I'll say, well, there's a girl called Beryl Arkwright, and she lives in Los Ells in Birmingham. And they go, who's that? And I go, well, she's doing really important work. She's like bringing the Black and Asian community together, or whatever it is, you know. People want to hear about the big names, you know. There's loads of people who are working at a grassroots level who never get fame. And they don't want it, a lot of them, you know, because they just don't want the spotlight shone on them. They just want to do their work in the community and kind of just try and make a better world for themselves. I remember once I went to after the what they call they call the Troubles in Northern Ireland. I call it the war.
Yeah.
But, I went there
the occupation.
We went there a few times, man. Yeah,
I met this woman, and she was working to bring the Catholics and Protestants together. She had a couple of centres that she's working from, and she's doing some brilliant work. And I said to her, wow, I've met a woman in South Africa who's doing the same thing as you with the blacks and the whites. You know, and I introduced them to each other, and they started a little thing going on. It's just like, those are
a beautiful thing, man. You're right. They're more heroes than any politicians and all. Do you know what I mean? The people,
I mean, there is talk that, you know, looking at a larger perspective, there is talk now that we're living through post-capitalist world, and that there are already systems being developed online for this post-capitalist world by younger people are already anticipating the collapse of laissez-faire capitalism, which to some degree may well be the case. When you look at, you know, neoliberalism, debt, the way that almost all the growth since the 1980s has been built on debt rather than productivity. And the collapse in 2007 and 2008, we haven't really recovered from that. And all the financial institutions are still insolvent. And with added debt of student loans and car loans, there's a big collapse about to happen without any kind of bailout available. And I think to some degree that may well be the case.
Especially over the last 12 months.
Well, yeah.
I've had friends and people have said to me, cryptocurrency, that's the thing of the future, right? Because that's money that you have in the bank and all that kind of stuff, but it's got nothing to do with government. You control it yourself. Yeah. I still don't quite understand how it works, but I can remember in the early days of the internet, people saying that about, people thought Bill Gates was a bit of a rebel, and you know, and now he's become like really establishment. But when people talk about online stuff, there's a track I've got. You can see it on YouTube. It's called "In This World." It's a very long track. It's got a long introduction, and I just do facts and figures about what's going on in the world right now. And there was, when I recorded it, I had to amend. I had to change one line in there. The line was, "We live in a world where most people have never used a telephone," and I changed it because they said, you know, that has slightly changed, and a lot of people now have used a telephone. But there are still, even so, there are still many people in the world who have never used a telephone. I remember in the late 90s, because I had to write something on this, so I had to do the research on it. It was actual factual that more than half the people in the world had never used the phone. And of more than half the people in the world that have used the phone, of those that use the phone, have to walk 2 miles to get to a phone. Right. But that was before mobile phones were big, and they've got bigger and bigger now. But there are still, I've been in Tibet. I've been in some really remote places, and there's people there that don't have a phone. They've never used one, you know. And those are the people.
Some people in England have got phones. It's got crap internet still. Can't even get the internet. You know what I mean? Like some of them coastal places.
Well, it's just,
you know what I mean?
Just like you will.
Oh, you will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a bit. But I'm not coastal.
Even at the level we are now, during lockdown, with kids learning in school, we know that there are millions of kids that don't have access. Even in the country.
It's a joke, man. It's a joke business, isn't it? You know what I mean? There's no way.
That's why Corbyn's policy of free broadband for everybody was a really radical policy and a really subversive policy, and one that they're going to have to introduce eventually.
Yeah.
Well, it's unbelievable, isn't it? How radical is that? I mean, that's common sense, isn't it? That's just common sense. That's the first thing you're going to say. As a common sense thing to say, isn't it?
Well, you're plugging people into power because you're plugging them into knowledge. You know what I mean?
It's gone to a different level, Jimmy. Over the last, as some of you guys know, I've been involved with an initiative to get school kids laptops so they can work from home, which you guys very kindly assisted with, and it's all right not having internet and not having computers, generally speaking, but now you've got families in Bradford, where I live, some of them, you've got 8-9 people living in a 2-bedroomed back-to-back terrace, and they've got, if they're lucky, 1 laptop or 1 computer between a family who was stuck at home for 3 months trying to learn. It's absolutely ludicrous, and a school of 1,500 kids have been given 200 laptops by Boris.
Yeah, it's a sham. It's just a joke.
Well, again, that goes back to, you know, you can come up with all the rules you want, all the restrictions you want, but you've got to support people, you know. And if you're gonna close the schools, then you have to support the pupils, you know, and the teachers, of course.
Absolutely. Well, listen,
again, what we were talking about them doing everything wrong. You know, there is no consistency in all of their solutions. Are like, you know, the only thing they're doing is backhanders, sorting their mates out. You know, $1 billion contracts for PPE that never arrives, or track and trace.
That's been 40 years reducing the infrastructure that where things could have got done. We could have identified vulnerable people when we had things like home helps and, you know, health visitors and things like that. We don't have that anymore. That's all been reduced over decades of neoliberal economics. You know, that it's about reducing all the time. So all they can do now is get some big company in and hope for the best. Give them hope for the best.
Robin, I'm gonna ask you to find a way to link in your song selection for this week, which is Small Axe.
My song selection.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's another Marley tune, and it could have been. Obviously, I could choose any Marley tune, really, but again, it's another song which is about you know, the haves and the have-nots. It's about the constant battle between the little people and the controllers, you know, and it's again, it's hard to pick a song that influenced me, really, but Marley as a band, the Wailers, influenced me tremendously, especially when they brought out the album Small Axe, which was a compilation of their songs from around 1970. And it basically just brought it home to me that reggae had grown up, reggae had changed, and I was no longer going to be listening to just pop tunes, you know, done in a reggae style. I wasn't just going to be, I mean, there was other artists, Jimmy Cliff, etc., but the Wailers, when they did African Herbsman, and it was a collection, there were love songs, but there were some strong political tunes, you know, conscious lyrics, and all of a sudden there was this young poet writing songs, and it just changed the way reggae, the future of reggae was that album. I remember bringing the album home and playing it to my kid brothers and saying, this is the future of reggae. This is the way reggae's going, you know. And the tune I've picked off it is Small Axe.
Why boasted thyself, O evil man? Playing smart and not being clever. Oh no, I say you're working iniquity to achieve vanity. Yeah. If I saw, but the goodness of Jaja, I endure it forever. If you are the big tree, we are the small axe, sharpened to cut you down.
Well shot.
Ready to cut you down. Of my master, keep on telling me, oh, no weak heart shall prosper. Oh no, they can't. And whosoever diggeth a pit, Lord, shall fall in it, shall fall in it. Whosoever diggeth a pit shall bury in it, shall bury in it. If you are the big tree, we are the small axe, sharpened to cut you down, ready to cut you down. And whosoever diggeth a pit shall fall in it, fall in it. Hey, whosoever diggeth a pit shall bury in it, shall bury in it. If you have a big tree, we have a small axe, ready to cut you down.
Well shot.
Sharpened to cut you down. If you are the big tree, let me tell you this, we are the small axe, ready to cut you down.
Well shot.
Sharpened to cut you down. If you are the big tree,
Brilliant track.
Yeah, great tracking.
I just love that line, you know, if you're a big tree, we are a small axe, sharpened to cut you down, to cut you down. And I've since heard that it's heard it suggested that it's not actually a big tree, it's about the big three in Jamaica. You know, the big three record labels, Treasure Isle, Studio One and Prince Buster. And they were, along with Scratch, who produced the music, they were saying, you know, if you're the big three, we're a small axe and we're going to chop you down. But I think that's a legend that's grown since, because to me, it's obvious it's about a big tree
Yeah,
and
I
a small
think so.
axe, you know.
Yeah, Babylon
Guys,
system, yeah.
You guys did get on Labour Love too.
Sorry?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Oh yeah, we did a little a cappella version of it at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody?
It's just a great line, isn't it? It's a great lyric.
Did anybody see the film Marley by Kevin MacDonald? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky enough to see him in Birmingham actually when he played Birmingham back in the day, man. When I was a kid.
No.
You know what I mean?
I was talking about the film.
The film Marley is talking about.
Yeah. I've seen that as well. Yeah.
Well, when Trevor were there's a not a preview. There was like a premiere that he held in Bath, and they showed the film, and then there was a talk after the film with the director. I don't know why he picked me to have a conversation with. So we had somebody interviewing me and him about the film, and it was really, really interesting. But the thing I liked about that film was, you know, that track, "The stone that the builder refused will always be the headquarter stone." It's got a similar sentiment to kind of small axe, but it's like saying that the stone that the builder rejected, that will be the most important stone. And the interesting thing about that film is that it's the only time I've really seen them delve into the white side of Marley's family. You know, they always talk about the black side, but in that film they talk and they go and interview some of his family, you know. And there's the one woman that says she talks about when he came, Bob Marley went on this quest to find his father. So he goes to their shop, they're builders, and he goes to their shop, and they basically turn him away.
Yeah.
And they turn their back on him and he leaves.
What a surprise.
He leaves the shop and then he goes home and he writes, "The stone that the builder refused will become the headquarter stone." And she says in the film, it's so true. She says, "Now we just sell bricks and Bob Marley's name is bigger than ever and nobody knows us."
He's from Liverpool or that neck of the woods, I believe his dad.
Well, he's living from Liverpool. It was kind of, but we think he has Irish roots. Marley basically is an Irish name.
Yeah.
You know, lots of Jamaicans had Scottish and Irish name. Peter Tosh, Peter McIntosh.
Yeah. Myself, Falconer. Yeah, Scottish.
I remember Robin, you educating one of our guests on that from one of the young Jamaican lads we had on earlier last year on all the
Black Hero.
All the Scottish names back. Yeah, was it Black Hero? Yeah.
Yeah.
History of Scottish names in McGregor.
Out of many, we are one, isn't it? That's it, man. That's Jamaica. The only true Jamaicans were the Arawak Indians. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they still had better internet than you.
Yeah.
So where are you? Where are you?
It's the government.
Coleshill.
You in Coleshill?
No, Cannock.
Cannock.
Yeah, I'm in the Mercia Kings used deer. There's loads of deer, but the internet's crap. You know what I mean?
Oh,
there's still deer knocking around now.
Was it really rural?
Yeah.
Nah, not really. Nah, it's just like it's not Birmingham.
Where I
You know
live,
what
it's really
I mean?
rural as well. The internet is and the phone. Internet's not too bad, but if I try to talk to somebody on a mobile phone, it's terrible.
Well, I'm totally in the country, me.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of the country, and I've got great internet.
When you're in the middle of the country, you mean?
Yeah, but you're in between Coventry and Birmingham. I'm in between like nothing and like Cannock. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm Lincolnshire.
At the end of the
Nothing
N6.
out there. There's nothing.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, man. As I said about the internet, like in England, it's just like generally like crap.
Well, listen, just before we move on from
You know what I mean?
Small Axe, Matt Campbell, you were telling me midweek about this series that's on TV. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Oh, what, Small Axe?
Oh, about the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, Steve McQueen
time. Yeah.
I've not seen. Matt's been telling me all week to watch it. I've not had a chance, but I will get to it. I don't know if Benjamin's seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part
Everybody's seen it, Paul.
History Month.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Too busy researching for a Sunday night, me.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job, mate. You're doing a great job.
Well, you know, it's really strange because it's a culture, obviously, that we're familiar with. But there aren't many stories from then. You know, I mean, I remember listening to Darkest Hour for years and years and years. You know, and then when they told this story in small acts. You know, it put a lot of things in perspective. But it was a culture we were familiar with. But really, you know, this is happening in England, and British people don't really know. You know, so I thought it was really good that the program did delve into that culture. Then,
yeah.
When I went to London, I became good friends with Darkus and a lot of those people who were involved in the Mangrove. I used to go to the Mangrove.
Really,
and so I heard about the trials. I heard about it, and in one of the scenes, you see Selma James, who was the wife of CLR James, and to this day, I'm still good friends with her. So I heard about it, and when I saw the film, I thought it was really well done. It was really accurate, and then the other, the one I had a bit of a problem with actually was the Lovers Rock one.
a lot of people have had a problem with that.
Yeah. I was in blues in those days, and first of all, we never played the Lovers Rock first. We played the dread stuff first, and then at the end of the night, when you want to hold a sister, and you have the Lovers Rock. I mean, I know that's a minor thing, but then you had that guy breakdancing. I never saw a blues where you got a dread go down and breakdance like that in the middle of a blues.
Nah.
The floor would be too dirty for
a start. Exactly.
All the slips and everything, all the and all the rum, everything on the floor, innit?
And I think it was a mixture, because back in the day there was blues, the heavy blues, you know, illegal basically, and then you had the parties which were kind of, you know, a bit more tame, and that was a mixture of a blues and a party, and it, to me it didn't work. I mean, I'm so glad that they did it. And in the rape scene, I mean, at a blues dance like that, you wouldn't have people in the garden like it was at some kind of champagne party.
And the Lovers Rock
garden, I couldn't see a rape happening. I mean, I think rape is an important thing to kind of put on television because it happens a lot more than we really know. But I just think he was trying probably to put too much in there, in that one. But still, I mean, I said on a public platform the other day, I'm so glad he did it. And somebody shouted me down and went, well, I think he shouldn't have done it, you know. But
Benjamin, speaking of blues, I was watching one of your interviews from a few years ago, and I had to laugh at a story you told about when you were at a blues, I think, and it got busted by the cops, and they went to a guy with an artificial leg.
Actually, it wasn't. That wasn't the blues. That was it was like I mentioned the guy just earlier on, Roland McDoon. He was the guy that kind of, he was involved in Rock Against Racism. Rock Against Racism was started by a guy called Red Saunders. And Red Saunders and Roland Muldoon were very good friends, but Roland was more involved in cabaret stuff and, you know, sit down on a chair.
Alternative.
Poet and so he used to book me and the Flying Pickets and Jennifer Saunders and that. Remember the Flying Pickets?
Yeah. We knew them very well. We gigged with them.
And so we used to do gigs together, and there was one place in Wood Green, it was called the Trade Union Centre actually, and there was a guy there who he was an MC basically, and he wasn't a brilliant MC, and I remember saying to Roland, well, you know, why have you got him? And he said, well, you know, if we employ somebody that's disabled, we get a grant, basically. You know?
Get a leg up.
So I said, okay. And in those days, seriously, I mean, you'd get raided by the police or the National Front. I remember we was in dances and the National Front was just bursting and stuff like that. And so one day, one night we was at this, there was a gig and I was performing as well, and the police just raided it. But when they came in, it wasn't like a normal raid. They didn't get everybody. They knew what they were going for. And they went to this guy who's got this false leg. And then told him that, and he was a white guy, you know what I mean? So we go and leave him alone, you know, it's this discrimination, you know, I mean, in those days, we didn't always say disabled as well. We say he's handicapped. I mean, completely politically incorrect words now, you know what I mean? He's handicapped, leave him alone. And the police are unscrewing his leg, and I remember I was like horrified. I was like, they took off his leg, and inside the leg, man, it was just full of herbs. Full of weed, all Baghdad.
What they were doing then.
And we didn't realise at the time what he'd do. He would in between bringing bands on, he'd stand at the side of the stage, unscrew his leg and put his hand in his leg and be selling £5 bags.
Listen, great story. We've got a couple more tracks to get through. Earl or Jimmy, do you guys want to give us the ones that you chose?
Yeah, shall I go?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, is that going to be Girl Scout Heron, Winter in America?
It is.
Big influence on me. Obviously, we were listening to this when the band first started, and Girl Scout Heron just showed how you could write great songs, but really have a point, you know, and have a message in the songs. And it was a massive influence, certainly on me, when we were writing our own material. And Winter in America, to me, is his ultimate song.
Brilliant. Let's do it.
From the Indians who welcome the pilgrims, and to the buffaloes who once ruled the plain. Like the vultures circling beneath the dark clouds, looking for the rain, looking for the rain. Just like the cities that stagger on the coastline, in a nation that just can't stand much more. Like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow. Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter, winter in America. Yes, and all of the healers have been killed or sent away. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Winter in America, and ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Save your soul, Lord knows, from winter in America. The Constitution, a noble piece of paper, with free society, the struggle, but they died in vain. And now democracy is a ragtime on the corner, hoping for some rain. They look like either hoping for some rain. And I see the robins perched in barren treetops. They're watching last-ditch races marching across the floor. But just like the peace signs that vanished in our dreams, never had a chance to grow. Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. Winter in America, and all of the healers have been killed or betrayed. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Lord knows it's winter in America. Nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Save your soul from winter in America. Stick. it's winter. Winter in America. And all of the healers done been killed, sent away. Yeah, the people know it's winter. Winter in America. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows, nobody knows. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say.
There you go, Jimmy. A nice different vibe for us this week.
You know, there's a bit of a sad follow-up to that, because we wanted to get this track we were asked to do a compilation called Under the Influence. There was a lot of different artists, but we were asked to do it, and they asked us to do it. And I wanted to put this track on as an influence. And we were trying to get the clearance for it, for the publishing. And we couldn't get it because Gil Scott was in jail at the time. In jail, yeah. And he was back on heroin. And but unfortunately, he died not long after that. But he was a real, what can I say, he was a real hero of mine. And I think that track is just really very moving.
Yeah, nice to hear. And because we're pushed for time, in a second we're going to go to Earl, and we're going to play his track. But before we do, I've got a shout out to Lucy Campbell's Socialist WhatsApp group. Thanks for watching. They're enjoying it, apparently. and of course, I'll extend that to everybody on the app as well, who constantly are having a good time talking and chatting amongst themselves. So thanks everybody for tuning in.
I've just seen a post that they put up, and it's the local group to us, and they're loving Benjamin, of course, but they've also said that is there any chance that Jimmy could move down to my borough so that he could come to our Labour meetings?
Yeah. I thought you'd have that many socialists in Meriden. I'll be very surprised.
I'd vote for you, Jim.
It's a Tory stronghold. It's a Tory stronghold, mate.
Yeah.
You give them hell in the House of the Parliament. You'd talk them to death, basically. They'd just like capitulate and go, yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, man.
Jimmy Jesus, the small axe. Earl, do you want to give us an intro to the track you've chosen that was an influencer for you?
Okay, this track ain't got anything to do with politics or anything really. It's just it was a track that this dance that was out at the moment called a shuffle, and basically there was two tunes. There was this tune and Sex Machine by James Brown, where like everybody would just go mad. All the guys would do the shuffle, and it'd be like all splits and that and spinning around and stuff. You know what I mean? And as a young kid, I was probably about 14, something like that. I was like there in that, you know what I mean, in that ring, doing my thing, man. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, just about music and just enjoying yourself in the dance and just letting free and dancing and expressing yourself, baby.
You had to have your proper slippy shoes on, didn't you?
For real, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You always think like you was good, and then there'd be someone who come out and like be absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, just reminds me of that feeling.
Your sharp skin trousers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Tailor made.
Right,
Tailor
stop
made,
so
man.
they can see your foot.
Yeah, man. From Lady Paul Road and thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don Taylor.
Brilliant. So, Al Capone, Prince Buster. Let's do it.
Down.
Al Capone guns don't argue.
That took me back.
Took me back to times before I was born, Jimmy.
Yeah, but yeah, well, I'm sure it was for you.
Mate, yeah, you weren't born then, mate. Yeah,
he was the man, though, wasn't he? He was the man.
Prince Buster, man.
Before Rocksteady, before the explosion, Jamaican music, basically, he ran it. He ruled it. He was, especially in the UK, his sound just, that's what everybody was listening to. Him and Derek Morgan, was basically it as far as what I was hearing out of Jamaica. And then all of a sudden, of course, there was a lot more artists than that, but then all of a sudden, Rocksteady happened. And suddenly it became sexy. Everything slowed down, and you wanted, instead of doing the shuffle with your mates, you wanted to dance. You wanted to grab a girl and have a dance then.
Yeah, always at the end of the night, mate. Isn't it?
Yeah,
that's when the Lovers Rock used to come in, innit? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah, that's what Benjamin was saying earlier.
About 10 to 2.
Yeah, this brings back memories, man. Yeah, but it sounds like obviously it sounds really old now in the production and everything. But like if you hear it loud, on the sound system, it sounds brilliant. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds great in my earphones, mate. Still sounds great, and the musicianship, the horn players, the sax and trumpet were just brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's
brilliant.
it. They were like jazz musicians, basically, weren't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had his own label.
So,
Prince Buster.
You what, mate?
I'm just going to say before we finish off, there's a few things. Firstly, next week we've got Right in the Kitchen album, which we're going to go through from start to finish and talk about all those songs and what they're all about.
Joy.
All the rest of it. We might miss one off, actually. Secondly, I want to thank Benjamin for his time tonight. It's been brilliant. There's been a lot of support on the UB40 app, Benjamin. They've enjoyed your stories and your thoughts and your visions and all the rest of it. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. And
it's been brilliant. I can't believe that we haven't run into you more often, because everything you've talked about tonight, we've all got the same references, we all know the same people, we've all mixed in the same circles, everybody you've mentioned we know, and probably everybody we've mentioned that's, it's
Birmingham
it's
is a village in it, basically. It's a city.
Absolutely,
it's like a village, and it's just like unbelievable that we haven't met you, but hopefully we'll meet you at some point in the future. And we can have a face-to-face in it, and I can get down to it. You know what I mean?
Have to come to a show when we actually get shows back on the road again.
That'd be fun. Yeah,
that'd be a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
hey Benjamin, I'll sort you some tickets. I know the guys in UB40.
I wanted to ask you quickly before, Benjamin, before we finish up. I just wanted to know about your kind of time with THTC, because obviously we've been, those guys have been our official merchandise partners for a couple of years,
right?
And obviously we linked up with them after they started doing the Corbyn t-shirts and everything, like, because when we started doing stuff with Jeremy years back now, and I was speaking to Gav the other day, and I was saying, I was like, oh, we've got Benjamin on this weekend coming on the Zoom and everything. And he was like, oh, Benjamin's, he's one of my old mates, man. He's been a supporter of THTC from back in the day. So I just wanted to know, like, how did you meet Gav, and, what's the story there?
I don't know. No, I met him. I think he approached me somewhere along the line. And I just love what they were doing in those days. They were like, now they have cotton, organically kind of sourced cotton and bamboo and stuff like that. I don't know if they're still doing that, but back in the day, it was hemp. All the clothes was like hemp clothes, and he was just kind of finding his feet. And I just loved it. It was like, and the other thing was, there was a lot of kind of hip hop catch that he was kind of working with, and I just wanted to represent reggae and dub poetry and whatever, But yeah, no, he really does really good work, and I've made ad with him, I've done photographs with them, and I just think they're really positive. Because you see, the thing is, people don't realize And that's why I kind of alluded to a while back when I said that I'm not so keen on going back to normal. Normal got us where we are now, and we messed up now, right? So when we come out of this, we've got to have a different relationship with the environment, and that means a different relationship with animals, a different relationship with our food, and even with our clothes. You know, the way we source our clothes. Trust me, you know, I don't know the statistics. I'm not very good at keeping statistics in my head, but trust me, for the most of the clothes that we wear, there's somebody suffering somewhere in Bangladesh or somewhere, so we can wear cheap, good clothes that we can throw away after we've worn a few times. And so, you know, I recognize that Gav was trying to do something about that in his own little way. And that's what we've got to do, you know. The revolution that we all talk about kind of starts with ourselves, you know, emancipate yourself from mental slavery and all that kind of stuff. We have to start with ourselves, and it's about our clothes, it's about our food. You know, there's lots of things that we can't change, but there's lots of things that are very close to us that we can change.
Yeah, man. And I think a lot of people are into that, like, you know, like recycling, electric cars, solar power. Obviously, we're all concerned about our kids and like the you know, the air they breathe in the cities and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're right. It is a time to like kind of reboot and like be, you know what I mean? Look at it as like a more human side of what we're doing. We can still do what we want to do as a human race, but do it in a, you know, a much nicer and more caring way.
A
you know,
sustainable way is what we need.
Yeah,
to live sustainably one way.
I've still got my old TR7 car, and it's something I always think about. You know, I mean, I don't drive it that much, but I put a 4.6 V8 engine in it. You know, you hear it coming. You know, right? And I was thinking the other day, you know, the next engine I'm going to put in it's going to be an electric one.
Yeah, there's a new program out where you can convert your old car into like an electric car, innit?
Yes.
That's where I'm coming from, Star.
That's what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? It's just little things like that, you know. I mean, I grow my own vegetables now. I've got a kind of, I wouldn't call it a farm, but I've got a big plot of land. I just grow my own vegetables. When the first lockdown happened, I was cool. I just had my own vegetables. I didn't go to a supermarket at all. You know, I know not everybody can do that, but whatever it is, we've got
that's the way to go, though, isn't it?
Way of doing things. And if we can do it, you should be able to embarrass the government and the people high up to kind of do something about it, you know?
I don't think we can.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's going to be the new industries. That's going to be the new industries that's going to bring us out of this thing, innit? It's like sustainability.
You can't embarrass Tories. It's impossible. The Tories are beyond embarrassment as a breed, you know.
Yeah, you watch Jimmy, you watch what happens next. I've got an electric car and it's tax-free as a company car.
Yeah.
You watch what happens next year. They'll tax.
It's going to be down to people.
Everybody onto electric.
Normal people.
Yeah. Everybody onto electric.
It's going to be down to normal people to do it.
Yeah, everybody onto electric cars. The infrastructure's crap, and it'll tax you to the hill.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But, right, well, listen, Benjamin, thank you very much. I'm going to hand over the floor to Mr. Gilbert Gordon, Gilly G, who's going to tell us about his new track, and then we're going to have a listen.
All right, man.
This is very political. I never wrote a political song in my life until I started hanging out with you guys. I swear to God.
Good.
This track it's just an observation of 2020, you know, my frustrations and everything that was going on. And we've called it the year of the mask. So, you know, I'd like to hear what Benjamin, after he's heard this. Real talk.
Here we go.
There's hope for you yet, Gilly.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
We've got my big one.
There are those that do, there are those that don't, there are those that do. This shit happens so fast, call it the year of the mass. So many questions to ask, this is my first, not my last. This is a call in the nature, bosses we already hate you. Yes, you poison the land, yes, you poison the man. Shout out the indigenous tribes, yes, we're feeling your vibes. Now when I'm moving above my clouds. Step 2 meters apart. Hear what the signs are telling you. Wash your hands in a regular, 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 regular. When did this come to pass? I move from the back of the class. What vice shall I take? The system's got us in check. My life's clicking collect. Your knees still on my neck. I came from the back of the boat. I rode just like a float. Let's all do Georgia notes. Telling me's the goat. How the hell you make it? All countries take a break. Look for heaven's sake. It's clean at the lake. All I hear is lies. So many scary eyes. Now you tell me who's greater. You are the power of nature. When I'm moving above my clouds. Step 2 meters apart. Hear what the signs are telling you. Wash your hands in a regular, 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 regular. Some people say I'm insane. Control and stay in your lane. Am I the one to complain? It's 5G frying my brain. Now there's a borrow invest. Our grandkids will pay for the mess. Boy, this shit's surreal. There's a massive cog in the wheel. You were late when shit got real. Now who can't hear or feel? The ones who got left behind. Some even friends of mine. The ones who needed protection. Who helped win your election. You wanna do something wise? Give them a fucking rise. So many people hate you. Call it human nature. When I'm moving above my clouds. Step 2 meters apart. Hear what the signs are telling you. Wash your hands in a regular, 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 regular. There are those that do. There are those that don't. There are those that don't. Hey, Cummins, what rules we're breaking? What vaccine will we be taking? You're stuttering like a buffoon. You treat me like I'm alone. Alone in my room. Space like the man on the moon. All I see is eyes. What's real and what is lies? You wanna test the best, but what about the rest? Boy, I feel fatigued. You stopped the football league. How the hell you mean? Troy Deeney gets a scream. The government makes all the run-ins. You back a fool like Collins. So kiss my ass Patel. Theresa May as well. When I'm moving above my clouds. Step 2 meters apart. Hear what the signs are telling you. Wash your hands in a regular, 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 regular. Hey boy, I heard a skank. How Tottenham raised the bank. You give them fools a loan, but we're stuck here at home. Now I'm in the zone. Let me take aim. The Bank of England don't even know our names. There are those that do. There are those that don't. There are those that will. There are those that want. I can feel the difference. I can feel the change. So many targets in the firing range. Feel strange. Feel danger. When I'm moving above my clouds. Step 2 meters apart. Hear what the signs are telling you. Wash your hands in a regular, 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 regular. When I'm moving above my clouds. Step 2 meters apart. Hear what the signs are telling you. Wash your hands in a regular, 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 regular.
Tell you what, Gilly, 50 Cent wants to watch his back with music like that, son.
Jamie produced that, man. We done it really quick, man. It was like done within a week, you know. So,
Who did that?
JT.
Jamie, of course.
JT.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sound I like it.
You can hear the hand of Jamie T involved in that.
Yeah.
But
Melanie just came in.
I would still say that I can't actually quite hear some of the vocals. I think they're a little bit too quiet in places because I couldn't work out what you were saying some of the time, which, you know.
I think I said, man, the wrong mix.
That's not very good, is it?
Melanie just came in and she said it sounds like something from Power. And funnily enough, when it starts, I thought it was like something from Peaky Blinders with the music. So I wonder if Benjamin can drop it off tomorrow on filming.
It reminded me a little bit of Jazzmatazz, Guru, that kind of vibe going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very dark, man.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Dark. The bass is too dark.
And you putting that out? You putting that out tomorrow, Gil?
Yes, 6 o'clock, man. Everyone can
On
get
YouTube.
time. Yeah.
See?
So, well, yeah, not to confuse 7 o'clock Sunday Zoomy, Monday 6 o'clock YouTube. Gilly's new track. Be there, I'll be square. Listen, guys, we're way past bedtime. Thanks, Benjamin. Been brilliant.
Take care.
Thank you, man.
Cheers,
Good luck
guys.
with filming and everything, blood, and hopefully we'll see you soon, man, when everything goes a bit back. Yeah,
I hope so.
goes back.
Take care.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
man.
joining us, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
Big love, big respect, man. Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
Good night, my brothers.
See you next
Bye.
week.
Bye.
Come in.
Hold it down, rude boys.
Bye bye.